Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear students, in previous lecture we studied sources of owned capital. There were two, shares and retained earnings. Today we are going to study shares in detail, that is, its definition, meaning and features. Before starting with the topic, let's clear this one term. What do you mean by share capital? First of all, what is capital? Money invested in the business is called as capital, or I can say money that is raised by a company to do its business is known as capital, right? See here, the funds. Now, what is share capital? Capital, you all know, money raised by a firm to start a business. But now, the funds raised by a company in exchange of its shares are known as share capital of a company. Now let's take an example. Suppose I want to start a company. For that, I need 2 lakh rupees. How much? I need 2 lakh rupees. I have got 20,000 and I'll ask 4 of my friends to invest the same 20,000 in my business. So that means 20 when multiplied by 5 along with me will sum up with 1 lakh rupees. And the other 1 lakh rupees I'm going to have it in a form of borrowed capital. So now I have divided this 2 lakh into two. 1 lakh is my owned capital and the other 1 lakh is my borrowed capital. This 1 lakh raised in the forms of share is known as share capital. Is this clear? Share capital, the funds raised by the company in exchange of its shares are known as the share capital of a company. Now coming to the definition, the term share is defined by Section 284 of the Companies Act 2013 as share means a share in the share capital of a company and includes stocks. Let's divide it into two. Share means a share in the share capital of a company. Now see here in the above picture you can see that. See, the example we just saw right now is that 1 lakh rupees which I am going to raise through issue of share is known as share capital. So now what is this share? My part, my 20,000 is my share. My 4 of the friends, they have invested in my business with the same amount. 20,000 is their share. Each one of them has got 20,000 as their own shares. So I can say that share means a share, that is my portion in the share capital of a company and includes stock. Now you all must be thinking, what is stock? Now let's see here. Mr. X has bought, what is the stock? We will see it here. Mr. X has bought the certificates of Reliance Limited. Now let's assume that there is one person, Mr. X, who has got a share of a Reliance company. That means that one person has invested only in Reliance Industries. So in this case, we will call the certificates as shares, since we can see that Mr. X has bought certificates from a particular company, that one company only. Mr. X has got the shares of only one particular company, okay? So now that one particular company, the amount which is invested, I can call it as share. Now, if we say that Mr. X owns certificates from several companies, we would call them certificates of stock. Now see here, if Mr. X has invested money in Reliance Industries, in Tata Motors, in any other company, Britannia Industries Limited, Tata Motors, Reliance Industries, if this Mr. X has invested money in 3 of the companies and has got 3 different share certificates, all these 3 share certificates will be termed as stock, certificates of stocks. So now can I say that the stock, a share, is a smallest part of the stock? Can I say that? If I divide this all 3 1, 1, 1. So this 1 is my share and altogether these 3 are my stocks. That means we can say that share is a smaller unit of stock. Is that clear? Right? This is in simple. Again, we can see it in a simpler form. What is stock and what is share? Now see here, when the owner owns the share of several companies, we say that the owner owns stock. If I have invested in 3 of the companies, I would be said that I am an owner of stocks. That means I have got 3 share certificates. When the owner owns the shares of a particular company, we say that the owner owns shares. That is one particular company. Now here, Mr. A invests in stocks. This statement doesn't require any further questioning. If I say I'm going to invest my money in stocks, that means I'm going to invest my money in different companies, in several other companies. But Mr. B has invested in shares. If I say I'm going to invest my money in shares, so now the question arises, which company, how many shares, what type of shares, etc. Is that clear? Now see here, again it would be even simplified with this example. Stock can be compared to the automobile industry. Okay, here I'm going to say you as an automobile industry. That means all the car companies will be included in automobile industries. Let's say, you have got Toyota, you have got Ford, you have got Nissan, you have got Honda. So when I say I am going to invest in automobile industry, in the stock of automobile industries, that means all these companies comes under. But when I say share can be compared to a car, if I say I'm going to invest in shares in any of the car companies, I'm going to purchase share of a car company, then the question arises, which car company I'm talking about. Is it clear? Stock and shares. So yes, when I say I'm going to invest in multiple companies and I'm going to have multiple share certificates, those multiple share certificates are my stock. Okay. Now coming back to the definition, now it would be even clear. Share means a share in the share capital, one particular company, okay, and it includes stock as well. Any other share certificates of different companies. Now, let's say this example. See, on the basis of this example, we are going to study the features of shares. Now see here, I have taken 3 cases for you all to understand the different terminologies which will be used in the coming features and the coming chapter. Now see here, to start up a business, there is this lady. In case 1, we will say that to start up a business, this XYZ lady requires 1 lakh rupees. Okay. What if this lady is going to ask this Miss Y, could you please invest 1 lakh in my business? Okay. Let's take an example here. Is it possible for a person to invest the whole amount? Is it possible, Miss Y? No, it's not possible. In the other case, this lady is going to ask 2 of them to invest in the business, okay, as 50,000 each. Will Miss Y or Miss M is going to invest in the business? No, it's not possible to invest such a huge amount. Let's take a current situation. This, after the situation, this lockdown is going on. After this lockdown, what if I want to invest it in my business? Let's assume that if this lady is me and I want to invest I want money from my friends or money from any other person. Will they be in position to invest so much of amount into my business? No, not possible. This 1 lakh rupees we already saw in the example as share capital. Now in case 3, let's say if I ask all of them to give me 25,000 each, is it possible for all 4 of them, Miss Y, Miss M, Miss P and Miss P, to invest in my business? No. Why? Because this is a huge amount. It's not possible for a person to invest this huge amount into the business. It's just an example. See, company is not built up in 1 lakh amount. It requires a huge amount. This is just a small example. Now, what this lady will get an idea. What if I want to form a company as an ABC, and for that this company I need 1 lakh rupees. What if I try to collect smaller amount from many people that would be possible for them to invest, right? So here, see, if I ask each of them to invest 100 rupees in my business, is it possible? Is it possible with this 4 to invest just a smaller amount, that is 100 rupees? Of course that's possible. So now, see here in this equation, I require 1 lakh rupees. If I try to divide this 1 lakh by 100 rupees, it comes to 1000. That means I need to contact 1000 people to give me this 1 lakh rupees to start my business. Is it possible for 1000 of people to invest just 100 rupees in my business? Yes, that's possible. So now, what is my capital here? 1 lakh is my capital. My face value is 100. Now see, the amount person is going to invest in my business is the face value. That is 100 rupees is the face value of shares. Now see, when we are discussing about share capital here, so now when I would be receiving 100 rupees, I'm going to give in return shares of the company. So yes, the shares, the value of those shares would be 100. And how many number of shares I require? 1000 number of shares I require. So that means that 1000 number of shares would be given to the person, and those person will become shareholders of the company, right? So now all these terms are clear to you. Who are the shareholders of the company? Shareholders are the persons who invest in the business of the company. Now see, as we have seen in the example, all of them are, contributing equal amount into the business. So can I say all of them are the owners of the company as they have contributed equal amount into the business, right? So now shareholders are the owners of the company, we can say that. So who are the shareholders? What is the face value and what are shares? See here, in short, it is said that share is a unit by which the share capital is divided. Second here, it's that the total capital of company is divided into small parts. We have seen now total capital 1 lakh rupees divided into small parts 100, 100, 100. See, the total capital of the company is divided into small parts, and each part is called share, and the value of each part is known as the face value. Share is a small unit of capital of a company. We have seen earlier in the definition itself. Now, it facilitates the public to subscribe to the capital in smaller amount. We have seen in the example, it was not possible for a person to invest 25,000. But it's possible when divided into small parts, when divided into 100, it's possible for general public to subscribe, that is to take the shares of the company or to invest in the company. It facilitates the public to subscribe to the capital in smaller amounts. Now, a person can purchase any number of shares as he or she wishes. Now, if you want to purchase 5 shares, you have to pay 500 rupees and you can purchase 5 shares of the company, as each share of a company is of rupees 100, as we have seen in the example. Now, a person who purchases shares of a company is known as shareholder of a company or member of the company, or I can say owner of the company. Is this clear? Now we are going to see what are the features of shares. The very first one is the meaning, as we have already seen in the definition. Share is the smallest unit in the total share capital of a company. Let's say here, so you can see it in the diagram. If this is the share capital, all these square boxes are the share capital, that one square is the smallest part of the share capital, which is known as share of a company. Now see here, if the total share capital, you can see here the currency notes are there. If this 2000 rupees, I'm going to divide it into smaller parts. Let's say let's say 10, 10, 10, 10. I'm going to issue n number of the number of shares I require in the smaller units is known as share capital of a company. The total amount is share capital and the smallest unit is known as share of a company. Coming to the second one, you have got ownership. Now let's take an example, the same example we were seeing. I'm going to invest into the company by, giving some money and getting shares of the company. So can I say now I'm going to be the owner of the company? Why? Because my money is invested in the company. See, the owner of share is called shareholder. It shows the ownership of a shareholder in the company, as I'm going to purchase the shares. Okay, buying and selling, purchasing. See, whenever you go and you purchase certain thing, you become an owner of that thing. Why? Because you have paid the money and you have got certain thing, right? So you become the owner of that particular thing. So here in the same, it's the same in the case of shares. When you buy shares or when you purchase shares, you give money and you get the shares of the company. So that means you become the owner of that shares, and therefore you become the shareholder and you become the owner of the company. So this thing gives you ownership in that company. The third point here you have got as distinctive numbers. We'll take the same example, distinctive numbers. Along with me, there were 4 of my friends who invested in the business. So now, okay, when someone tries to invest in the business, of course, they will ask you for the certain evidence, like what is the proof that I have given you money. So in the case of shares, when a person invests in the shares, they get share certificate as an evidence. So now each share certificate has got different numbers. Distinctive number means different numbers. See, each share has distinct numbers for identification. It's very important for identification, right? Share number 1, share number 2, 3, 4. Like these way you have got distinctive numbers. It is mentioned in the share certificate itself. Example, let's say I have got 5 shares in the company. So now those 5 shares will have distinctive numbers. Let's say 1000 number, then 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004 and 1005. So I can say that I have got these 5 shares of the company. Now see here, there is an example of Reliance Industries Limited. It's always mentioned on the share certificate as distinctive numbers. So you can see the last 2 digits, the starting digits are same and the last 2 digits are from 50 to 54. That means there are 5 shares. This person, this XYZ person is holding 5 shares of Reliance Industries Limited, and the distinctive numbers, the last 2 digits are from 50 to 54. Okay, distinctive numbers. The fourth one, as we already saw, evidence of title. What is the proof? What is the evidence? A share certificate is issued by a company under its common seal. Common seal we have already studied in standard 11th. Common seal. What is common seal? I can say it as signature of the company, right? Can I say it as in signature of the company? Common seal. The stamp of the company which is there on the share certificate. Now, it is a document of title of ownership of the shares. Title of ownership of the shares. That means if I have purchased a share of the company, my name would be written along with the company's name, company's stamp. My name would be written on the share certificate. So now it is a title of ownership. It is a proof that I own certain shares of so and so company, right? Now, a share is not any visible thing. It is shown by share certificate or in a form of demat shares. Now, see here, what are demat shares? When shares are converted into electronic form, it is known as demat shares. As you know, there is always upgradation in everything. So now, shares are also there in e-form, electronic form. So those forms which are there in electronic forms are known as demat shares. So now, see here, when a company, if I say I own shares of the company, so now is this the asset? Is it my asset I have purchased? I have paid money and I have got the asset. Is share my asset? Of course my asset. Why? Because I can sell and I can get the money. So now when company it issues shares, it's a proof that company is giving me the evidence, company is giving me the proof that I am the owner of the shares. So now this is the property and it's not any visible thing. If I say that, I have got land and building as my asset, I can show this is my land and building. So now what is the visible thing here? If it's in a physical form, well and good, I can show this is my share certificate. This is in physical form. But if it is in dematerialized form, it is not any visible thing. Evidence of title. Is it clear? Evidence of title. Company's name, company's common seal, along with the title of ownership of shares. That means my name would also be there on the share certificate. Now you can see here in this example, Green Bay Packers, this company has issued shares. See here, this certifies that, see, the name of the owner is written here. Along with that, there is a common seal. Can you see here? See, this is a common seal, Green Bay Packers corporate seal. So now this is a proof, this is an evidence that this share belongs to this company and this share belongs to so and so person. Now the fifth one here is value of share. What is the value of share? Here you have to see it. See, each share has a value expressed in terms of money. Now, what is face value? As we have seen in the starting, that rupees 100 was the face value. See, this value is written on the share certificate and mentioned in the Memorandum of Association. Memorandum of Association, most important document of the company. Second clause, capital clause. In that capital clause, it would be mentioned that 100, I would say that, 1,000 equity shares of rupees 100 each. In your balance sheet, you must have seen 1,000 equity shares of rupees 100 each. That 1,000 is the number of shares. This 100 each, this 100 is the face value of the shares. Now you can see here, this one example of the share certificate of a corporation, it's mentioned here. See, this is to certify that Isabel Lekes of a Rood Edel, the address is given here as 1050 Belgium, is registered holder of 25,000 shares of United States dollars. See here, the value is mentioned in dollar as 1 each. You have to pay attention to this 1 each, numbered 1 to 25,000. These distinctive numbers. As share is of $1, so now if this person has purchased 25,000 shares, so the distinctive number is 1 to 25,000. This is the face value. The value which has been, which is written on the share certificate is the face value of the shares. Now second is issue price. What do you mean by issue price? It is the price at which companies sell its shares. Suppose in the, the example we took was the, 100 is the face value. But what if the face value is 10? The smaller amount, any amount. Now, see, the face value is always lesser. It can be from 1 to 10 or, from 1 to 100. But what if the company's face value is 10, but company wants to sell the share, issue the share in the market at rupees 100, company can do that. So when the company, though the price of the share is 10, but the company is trying to issue the same share at rupees 100, that is known as issue price. That means the selling price of the share is 100. See, the issue price of shares is a price at which they are offered for sale when they first become available to the public. The third one you have got as market value. This value of share is determined by demand and supply forces in the market. Now, let's say the company is started, the company is growing, the company is working very well. After 5 years, the value may increase, the value may increase or the value may decrease. So this value of shares is determined by demand and supply forces in the share market. Let's say I purchased the shares from the company in rupees 100, but now after 2 years there is an increment of the value. The value increased as the company is working very good. So now the value must has come up to 200 or to 250 per share. So yes, market value is something which is determined by the demand and supply forces in the share market. Now you have got rights. A share confers certain rights on its holder, such as rights to receive dividend, rights to inspect statutory books, rights to attend shareholders meeting, rights to vote at such meetings. Now see here, what do you mean by rights? A share confers certain rights on its holders, such as right to receive dividend. Now once you have invested your amount into the company, you are going to receive certain things as an return on that amount. So that return is termed as dividend. As we have seen, when you invest in the bank as fixed deposit, what return banks give you? Interest. So once you invest in the shares of the company, the return you get is as dividend. Right to receive dividend. You have got certain rights when you invest money. The second right you have got is right to inspect statutory books. What are the statutory books? Statutory books are those books which a company is supposed to maintain compulsorily. A company's statutory books are usually kept at registered office. You remember registered office of the company? Statutory books, official records of the company. So now, once you have become the owner of the company, can you inspect those books? Can you go and see those books? Of course you can see. This is your right to inspect the statutory books. Then you have got right to attend shareholders meeting. Of course, you have invested your money in the business in the form of shares. So you have got the right to attend the meetings. Whenever there is a company meeting regarding the important decisions, let's say when a company wants to diversify, to expand the business, so those important decisions would be taken in the shareholders meeting, where all the owners of the company will be present. See, why am I using these two words? Just to make you aware why you have got the right, because you are the owner of the company, you are the shareholder of a company, so you have got the right to take important decisions. And here the fourth one is a right to vote at such meetings. Once you are the owner of the company, once you have got the right to be there in the meeting, you have got the right to vote. Of course, if you want to take certain decision, you want to put forth, you want to keep in front your views, and along with you there are 4 to 5, you have got the right to vote for the same decision. If you agree with the decision, you have got the right to vote for that decision, either in yes or no. So these are the 4 rights which a shareholder gets after purchasing the shares of the company. Seventh one you have got is an income. Of course, when there is an investment, there is an income. A shareholder is entitled to get a share in the net profit of the company. When company is making profit, of course you are going to get something in return. It is called as dividend. Now see, net income is divided here into 2. Retained earnings and dividends. We have seen retained earnings, and again we are going to see further. But as of now, you are supposed to concentrate on dividend. What if a company has made a profit of rupees or 20,000? So now see, there are 2 bifurcations. 15,000 as in retained earnings. That means the company is not going to distribute this 15,000. The company is going to reinvest it in the business, 15,000. Now the remaining 5,000, the company is going to distribute it to the shareholders, to the owners of the company, to the investors of the company. So here you have to remember what is an income. If I'm talking shares, the income is one feature, and that income is known as dividend. The 8th point you have got is as transferability. What is transferability? To transfer means to hand over, to sell or to pass on. See, we have said that share is an asset of a company. So now, can I sell the asset if I am a shareholder of a company? Share is my asset. Can I sell my asset? Yes, of course, that's possible. The shares of public limited company, it's very important. The shares of public limited company are freely transferable, or I can say freely sellable in the manner provided in the Articles of Association. Whatever Articles of Association, second important document of the company, internal rules and internal management of the company, Articles of Association. So now, how, in whatever manner, in whatever procedure, the Articles of Association allows a person to transfer the share, to sell the share, a person can do the same. Okay. Now see here, you can see it in the image. What if I want to sell my shares? I'll hand over the share certificate to the other person and I'll get the amount. I'll get the money in return. I want to sell the shares. I will give the share certificate and I will get the money. This is known as, this is the most important feature, transferability, freely transferable, that is freely sellable. Now the ninth one you have got as property of shareholder. Share is a movable property of shareholder. Can I take my share certificate wherever I go? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible because it's my movable property. Can I take my land and building and go wherever I want to? Is it possible to take my building somewhere else? No, it's not possible. So I can say share is a movable property of a shareholder. You have to keep this in mind. See here in the picture you can say shareholders holding their shares. Can I take my share and can I shift to any other state or any other country? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. It's my movable property. And with this 10th point, we are coming to the end. Kinds of shares. Again, a very important feature. A company can issue two kinds of shares, equity shares and preference shares. Equity shares and preference shares we are going to study in detail, in a lot detail in coming lectures. With this, we come to an end of today's lecture. Again, here is a short assignment and just one question. Hope you all will do it. That's all for today. Thank you.